Hello and welcome to Tunstall's NDIS webinar series. Thank you all for joining us today. So my name is Tim. So I'm the Senior Coordinator in the Community and Support Services team, and I've been with Tunstall for about 18 months, and I'm joined here with Narelle Hopper, who is our Head of Product. As I say, I've been with Tunstall about 18 months in my time in the Community and Support Services team, and I really value the important work that we do, helping people live the life that they choose independently as they can. Bit about yourself, Narelle.
Sure. Thanks, Tim. I'm Narelle Hopper. I'm our product manager. I have been with Tunstall for 24 years now, a lifetime.
Yeah.
I started in the response centre taking calls from our end users, and I found that to be such a great privilege to be able to help people when they were in need. But what really fascinated me was how everything worked and finding a solution for a client that was very suitable to them, and understanding the different products that we had available and what would work best in each scenario. And that's what led me into our product team, and I've been there ever since.
Yeah,
loving it.
And doing a wonderful job. If you're not familiar with Tunstall, who's Tunstall? So Tunstall started off in the UK about 60 years ago in a place called Yorkshire. And since then, they have developed into a global business in 18 different countries, creating new products and innovative solutions, particularly in connected care and monitoring. And helping people live independently, as freely as possible in a place of their choice. So we're very proud of what we do and what we've been able to deliver. Tunstall Healthcare opened its doors in Australia in 2001, so just a little bit before Narelle started. And then it opened a response centre in Taronga in New Zealand in 2002. So we've been in this region about 24 years, and the Brisbane office serves as the head office of the region. Okay, so we'll get into what today's webinar is about. So today's webinar is about fall detection devices, so fall detectors. Tunstall provides a number of different fall detectors to the market. So what are the basics about a fall detector? A fall detection device is a lightweight, generally small product that can be worn by a client or a person of need. They automatically, or they have the ability to automatically detect falls of certain types. They can raise an alarm call if that fall is then detected, but also have an option as well, always to manually raise the call if needed as well, and always include an ability to cancel the device as well, cancel the call. Yeah. So who are they for? So they're for people with limited mobility. They're for people who are elderly, people living with disabilities of various types, people who have recently been discharged from hospital, people who might be working alone or in perhaps potentially unsafe conditions, and other types of medical conditions as well. But it's probably really important, I think, Narelle, to talk about the limitations of fall detectors and how the science of it all works. So I'll get Narelle to jump in here.
Thank you, Tim. So this is something that I really wanted to highlight from the get-go. So whilst there's multiple different types of fall detectors out there, there is no single fall detector that can detect every kind of fall. So soft falls against the wall or furniture, and even some quite heavy falls may go undetected. And I want to talk about why this is, and this is around how fall detectors detect falls. The fall detectors have algorithms within them and sensors within them. So those sensors provide information, and that's assessed by that algorithm to determine if a fall has occurred. So every fall detector is different, but the principles are the same. So I'll just go on to how it works. So fall detectors will generally have an accelerometer. An accelerometer is used to measure the rate of changing velocity and detect sudden movements. Gyroscopes. So gyroscopes measure the orientation of the device. So in other words, I was in this position, now I'm in that position.
So front, back, up, down kind of thing.
Yeah, exactly. That's right. And then barometric altimeters. I always struggle with that word, altimeter. So this measures change in altitude by measuring the air pressure. So for example, the air pressure down at ground level is quite different to what it is at standing height. It's minimal difference as compared to being up in a plane. The air pressure is significantly different, but there still is a change from ground level to mid-level to standing full height. So most companies, when they're designing their fall detectors, are using those particular 3 sensors and potentially some others, and they create an algorithm that takes the data from those sensors and makes a decision on whether that's a fall event or not. Now, some take that algorithm even further and they need other criteria to be met. So for example, I was upright, I detected that those 3 sensors went off, and now I'm idle for a certain amount of time. And then that's a green light that that's a fall and it should raise that event. Each manufacturer's algorithm is different, and they do stringent testing to come up with what they believe is the best algorithm for their device, to the point that they'll actually even bring in stunt people to wear their fall detectors and have false falls, to fall down the stairs, to slide from a chair, to have a hard fall, to test that algorithm's resilience and accuracy. So talking about, sorry, I skipped ahead for a moment. So an example of a slow sliding fall, the orientation of the device may have changed, the air pressure may have changed, but there's no sudden movement. So therefore the algorithm's criteria has not been met, and that's why that type of fall may not actually trigger an alert. Okay.
Right.
So there also needs to be some consideration for false positives as well. So false positives can upset some end users. So I didn't have a fall, but it thinks I've had a fall.
The accidental activation.
Exactly, an accidental activation. So that comes down to those algorithms as well. So the criteria has been met, even though the client hasn't necessarily had a fall. And it may just have been due to the way they were moving or they knocked into something, that sort of thing. So false positives can cause some frustrations for the end user, but they are necessary because otherwise the less real faults would be detected as well. One thing that we always want to stress to every end user that fall detectors cannot detect every type of fall. Therefore, it's very important that you remember that any fall detector you have also has a button on it to manually activate it. So if you have a fall and it is not detected, you press the button on the fall detector to manually trigger a call to the monitoring center yourself.
The fall detection is backup. The triggering of itself, pressing the button, is always ideal. That's the first scenario.
Exactly. Yeah. Yes. Okay. So fall detection is a bonus in that regard. Always remember you've got that manual activation ability as well. You also have the ability to cancel on a fall detector as well. So, for example, as I said before, the fall detector has detected that you've had a fall, but you haven't. There's a way to cancel out the fall detector itself, and we'll talk about that with the individual fall detection devices we're about to have a look at.
Fantastic. So that brings us into our first alarm and our first device. So I thought I'd touch on our flagship product, our Lifeline Digital. So the Lifeline Digital, that's this one here, is Tunstall's main alarm that we sell. It's manufactured over in the UK. So this is the alarm unit itself. You've got the speaker on the front, you've got a microphone, you've got an internal antenna. You've got some buttons on the top. So this is the alarm button. There's a cancel button there as well. It's got a couple of other features, but this is the alarm itself. Okay. The bit that it gets paired with is a trigger, right? So on screen, you can see that there is a pendant there, also in the wrist mode. That's called a TX4 with that red button. That's the standard pendant that it comes with. That's what you just press if you want to raise an alarm. But it can also be paired with this thing here. So this is our called the Vibi. So this is a Vibi fall detector, which we'll get into, and I'll get Narelle to talk a bit about how that works. But that also can be paired with the Lifeline Digital. It's not an alarm in and of itself. The alarm is the Lifeline Digital. The Vivi is an accessory that gets paired with it, but I'll leave that to Narelle to get into the details of that.
Yeah, certainly. So this is the Vivi fall detector. It's a very popular fall detector in the Australian market. It is probably one of the most advanced fall detectors available in the market currently. The Vivi has all those sensors that we just talked about and that detailed algorithm to determine whether a fall has occurred or not. The Vivi can be worn around the wrist or on a lanyard around the neck.
Yep.
Now, the algorithm is different depending on how it's being worn. So it's very important when you're ordering the Vivi that you think about how you would like to wear it. So if you're someone who would prefer to have it on the wrist, it needs to be set to wrist mode. If you would prefer to wear it around your neck, it needs to be set to neck mode.
That's all to do with altitude and where the orientation, how it's facing.
Exactly. Yeah. So that algorithm that we talked about before is going to change depending on which wearing mode we set it in. So if we've got it in wrist mode and we start wearing it around our neck, it's not going to behave as well as it would if it was set to that neck mode. So something very important to consider. It can be changed. It's not permanent.
No.
You don't have to say, well, I'm going to wear it on my wrist and then you're stuck wearing it on your wrist forever. It can be changed.
Yep.
But we just need to be notified and then we can talk you through the process of changing that.
Yeah.
Okay, so the as I said, the Vivi has a very advanced algorithm. So it needs those three things to be detected, and then it needs to be idle for a 10-second period after those things are detected to generate that fall event. So it is quite a complicated algorithm in that it needs those sensors to meet their thresholds, and then it needs to be still for a while. Now that poses a risk in certain scenarios that it's not going to trigger the fall event because it isn't still for that 10-second period after the event. So someone has a fall and they immediately start moving, trying to get themselves back up. The Vivi may not go off because it's seeing movement after the fall. So this is why we say it is so important that the user presses the button as well. Or if they're unsure if it's gone off.
So the front of that is the button, is that
correct?
Right? You just press it?
That's correct. So tactile, it's a bit hard to see on the screen there. There is actually three little buttons, little raised bumps, I should say, on the front of the Vivi, and that's where you would press. So you feel those three little bumps, and that's where you would press to trigger it. Now, it gives haptic feedback as well. So when it's detected a fall, it is going to vibrate so that the user knows that it's detected a fall. If it does that vibration, you know that it's going to go off. It's going to trigger the Lifeline Digital Home Unit. If it's a false positive, so you haven't actually had a fall and you don't want it to go off, while that vibration's happening, you can actually just put your hand over it and that tells it to automatically cancel.
For a couple of seconds and then it will cancel.
Yeah.
And it will vibrate again to say it's cancelled.
Yes, it will vibrate to let you know that it is cancelling.
Fantastic.
Okay. Now, you also have the ability to, if you haven't had a fall or you've had a fall, but you've managed to get yourself up and you don't want it to call the monitoring centre, you can actually walk to the Lifeline Digital and press that cancel button on top and cancel it there as well. But as we always say at Tunstall, we'd prefer the call just to come through and just let us know that you're okay.
Let us know. It's okay to just let it go through and say it was an accident. We'd much prefer to hear from you and we don't mind. We're okay with it. So,
exactly.
Yeah.
So just a couple of other points about the Vivi fall detector. This is a question that we get quite often. So we just wanted to clarify. On the back of the Vivi fall detector is a piece of metal. And clients often think that is the battery exposed. We want to reassure you, it is not the battery. That is the cover that seals that battery compartment, but it is stainless steel. And so quite often clients misinterpret that as the battery being exposed. The Vivi needs a special tool to open it. It does have a replaceable battery, as any fall detector wearable should. So it needs a special tool to open it, which is available from Tunstall. The reason for that is to maintain that IP67 water rating, okay, so the water ingress. So that tool seals this back of this unit quite well, so that it's okay for you to wear it in the shower, it's okay for you to wear it while you're doing the dishes, that sort of thing. Talking about battery life, the expected battery life of the Vivi is around 12 months. but that is completely dependent on the user and how active the user is. So when we think about all those sensors in a fall detector that they're constantly measuring and they're feeding that back, that algorithm's assessing that data from those sensors, the more active a person is, the more that's going on in the fall detector, the more compute power it's using. So if you're a very active person and it's constantly assessing events, you're going to have a shorter battery life to someone who's quite idle. So someone who's not getting out and about much, they're not moving around the garden, they're not walking back and forth in the house, they're a lot more idle, they're going to get a lot longer life out of the battery than someone who is very active. And that's fully expected.
I mean, I think that's the thing, is that battery life, we will know. So it will send a signal to the Lifeline Digital, which goes back through to us at Tunstall. So we will know once the battery starts to run low, and we will always let the client, or we will always, let whoever the decision makers are in their life and around them, their care team, let them know that the battery is running low and it's time for a replacement. And we sell the batteries here. And we also sell the tool to open it as well. So you can either buy that at the start and get that as part of the first iteration when you get everything, or you can get it down the track as needed. It depends on the needs and sort of what the client wants at that time. It's a very good device, the setup of the Vivi and the Lifeline Digital. We currently have that on promotion right now. So you can find the details about that on our website. It's designed for someone who is concerned about the majority of their falls happening at home. So perhaps they go out in the community, but they do it with a carer, or maybe they do it with a family member, could be a spouse, or children or something like that. But they're more concerned about having that fall at home, maybe during the night if they go to the bathroom, or if they go get a drink of water or something like that. It's a setup designed for people who are more concerned just about that those times at home where they might not have anyone around. And it's got a range of about 50 to 100 meters. Depends on the building, depends on the materials it's made of, because that can all interfere with the signal between the Vivi and the base unit itself.
For the building materials, not the Vivi materials.
The building materials, the roof and that sort of thing. But if you are someone who is more active and more out and about, so we talked a bit about activity, potentially wearing down the device a little bit and the battery usage. If you're someone who really wants to get out in the community, our mobile personal alarms might be a better option for someone who is still wanting that coverage, but wants that independence to go to the shops and to go on walks and things like that, and may not have, a spouse that comes with them or a carer who takes them out of the house. They still are happy to drive and go and do their things or walk around. So we also sell mobile personal alarms. So we've got two main ones at Tunstall. We've got the Gem 4 and the Gem 5. So this is our Tunstall Gem 4, and Narelle has our Tunstall Gem 5 there. They're very similar devices in a lot of ways. So they only have the one wearing mode. So if you want something worn around the neck, it's the Gem 4 for you. And if you want something around the wrist, it's the Gem 5. They both use the cellular network. So unlike the Vivi, they're not an accessory, they're an alarm in and of themselves. So what that means is when an alert is placed, it actually goes through the bit that you're wearing, and it can connect to our response center. You've got the SOS buttons on them. So on the Gem 4, that's on the front, that says SOS. It's nice and clear. On the Gem 5, it's on the side. It's just that little bit that on a typical watch you might use to change settings, or perhaps the time itself, it was an old analog kind of watch. So they both have two-way communication. So they've got a microphone and a speaker built in. So you can have that, that conversation with the operator on the end, or in another setup, we also allow it to be monitored by friends and family, loved ones. For some people who don't necessarily want the full 24/7 monitoring, or perhaps have family members or carers, emergency contacts who are constantly available and want that level of extra involvement. And so it can just go directly to their phones, and it will also trigger an SMS if that option is selected. Fall detection is available, whether you get it monitored by us or by loved ones. That's an option you select yourself. If you select it with Tunstall, Tunstall will program that for you. If you get the monitored by family and friends, that will be done by yourself through our portal that is on our website.
You do the onboarding, it'll ask you if you want that feature enabled. So that's something to be clear. With the mobile purse, the fall detection is optional. So it can be turned on, it can be turned off.
It can be turned off, yeah, if that's not something you're concerned with and you just want that trigger, that emergency trigger. And we even do them in duress mode for certain clients as well. The SOS is quite useful for that. So the Gem 4 typically gets used as duress because it can be programmed in that stealth or silent programming. So yeah, they're both very good options. The Gen 5 has a couple of extra features. It's slightly newer product, so obviously it's in the guise of a watch. So its main feature that some people like is that it looks like a sports watch. So if you want that sort of active lifestyle kind of look, the Gen 4 is quite subtle. You know, it's something to sort of blend in a bit. The Gen 5 is something that you might want to say, oh, I'm wearing my watch, and you know that might be more comfortable for you. It's got step counting, you know, something to take to the doctor and say, you know, I've been doing my 10,000 steps a day or whatever it might be. It also has pulse monitoring, so it can give you an indication of your heart rate. It's not an EKG, it's not medical, it's just a fitness guideline to give you an idea of what your pulse is at that given time. Those watch faces can be changed. You know, there's a couple of different styles. You can have 24-hour, you can have digital sort of, or you can have that analog style as well. So there's a couple of different options there.
Use of preferences.
Yeah.
Just in regards to the fall detection on the mPurse devices, so similar sensors are used, different algorithms though. So the GEM products, algorithms are a little simpler.
Yeah.
It's only looking for those specific things. It doesn't need that idle period after those sensors have triggered. It will go straight into raising an alert. It also has a sensitivity setting. So 1 to 9 is the range. We default to 5 to start with an end user and see if they find that suitable. So using my own watch as an example, mine is set to 5. We talked a bit before about false positives. In the morning, when I reach up and open my curtains, I generate a fall. Okay, because I've had that quick movement, I've had that change in altitude, I've had that change in orientation. So every morning I open my curtains, I trigger a fall. But it comes up and tells me that I've triggered a fall and there's a little X on the screen and I can just cancel it. Or I can just let it go through to the monitoring center, say hello to someone every morning, let them know it was just accidental and I'm all okay. And then I've tested it and we know it's all functional. So that sensitivity can be increased or decreased dependent on the individual user. So some people find those false positives a little frustrating. They might want to bring that sensitivity down. Some people are really concerned about softer falls, and so we might want to turn that sensitivity up. Still, with any fall detector, no guarantee that it's going to detect every time to fall. So always remember pressing that SOS button if the fall detection hasn't gone off when you need assistance.
And there's no delay period, unlike the Vivi. It goes straight into it, so it either will have detected that fall and you'll know, and then it will have that haptic feedback as well. And I believe auditory feedback as well.
The GEM products will announce it, unless of course that it's set to duress mode. In duress mode they're silent, but you'll still get that haptic feedback, so you'll get that vibration to let you know that something's happened.
Fantastic. Okay, so we are running out of time, so we'll probably just jump into questions if there are any. Do we have any questions there? Well, Narelle, do you got any questions for me?
Yeah, so I mean, I was curious as to how popular falls detection is. How many calls are you getting a day requesting a fall detector, approximately?
Approximately 30 calls a day, I'd say, or more potentially. We get quite a lot of calls. Just my own team probably gets about 30 calls. But we get a lot of communication. I'd say that it's probably the number one question we get asked about is fall detection. Probably because it's such a serious issue. It's it's a real risk to older people. Falls are one of the main threats to older people and their health. So that's certainly something we get the most feedback and questions about.
Yeah. Okay. Very interesting.
And Narelle, what does the sort of the future of our fall detection technology look like in the industry?
Certainly. So obviously we're always reviewing new products. We're engaging with other manufacturers within our industry and talking to each other. When it comes to the MPERS devices, we're kind of there at the moment. I mean, I'm sure the algorithms and the sensors will progress, but the functionality is sort of where it is. When it comes to in-home alarms, I think we're going to see dramatic change over the next sort of 3 to 5 years within our industry. So right now, for fall detection, you need to have a wearable device that has those algorithm sensors to detect a fall. Down the line, 3 to 5 years, I think we'll be looking more at fixed wall in-home sensors. So things like radar technology. There's some companies out there producing products at the moment that are just amazing. We're testing one at the moment. It's really exciting. So it's a small sensor that's on the wall, connected to your internet at your home, using radar technology. So no video, not looking at you, no camera. And it can see your movements around the room and see when you're still or idle for a period and see what height you're at as well. So sit down on the couch, that's fine, because it knows that's the couch and expects you to sit there. But you're laying down on the floor, and that's not normal. So then it can raise an alert based on the fact that it's detected you laying on the floor.
Fantastic.
So that's a fair way away, that being deployable, but that is certainly where I think the future of in-home fall detection is coming. But again, MPERS, still looking at similar devices, which gives us a good opportunity for the last minute that we've got just to show you quickly what's coming soon.
Yeah, absolutely.
So from a MPERS perspective, in 2026, we'll be releasing 2 new devices, very similar to what we have. So we have the Gem 6, which is the new version of the watch. It's a slightly smaller than the Gem 5.
And we have one here.
Sorry, yes, we do. My apologies. Yes, so this is one here. So this is the Gem, it's hard to see from this far away, but the Gem 6. So slightly smaller than the Gem 5. Also has the fall detection, has the heart rate monitor, has the step counter, has a pulse oximeter or blood oxygen monitor. So, when you're on a pulse oximeter at the hospital, at the doctors, with your carer, and they tell you to take some deep breaths, get you over that 95%. So this can measure that for you, and you can know yourself.
I'm going to take some deep breaths.
I'm going to take some deep breaths.
Yeah, absolutely.
Not a medical device, not classified as a medical device, so purely for the end user, just for your interest's sake. The charging base is also Bluetooth, and I'll talk a bit more about the Bluetooth in a moment. The new pendant coming our way is the MPERS pendant, is the Gem 12.
It's a big upgrade.
Big upgrade. So we are quite thinner than the Gem 4. We're a bit taller, but not as wide.
Yeah.
A lot lighter as well. The image on screen you see is in white. I've got a black version here that I'm currently testing. So we should be releasing it hopefully in both colours. Same features as the Gem 4. We've got the fall detection capability, the 2-way calling. We've got a Bluetooth charging base. Both of the 6 and the 12 are IP67 rated as well.
Fabulous.
And the other new product that we're going to launch is a Bluetooth beacon. So this is a Bluetooth beacon. It is quite small if I put it beside the Gem 4 that you're familiar with. This Bluetooth beacon complements the Bluetooth charging bases, but also will work with the existing Gem 4 and Gem 5. The purpose of the Bluetooth beacon is first and foremost to conserve battery life. So we're familiar with MPERS. We know that they're periodically looking for GPS, and that consumes a lot of battery because it's got to go acquire that data. When we pair it with a Bluetooth beacon at home, we can say this beacon is at home, so configure it to be home. It stops looking for GPS when it's connected to that beacon because it knows it's at home. Okay, so this way we can get a longer battery life. We can also use it to raise in-home, out-of-home alerts. So if any of the MPERS lose contact with their Bluetooth base or Bluetooth beacon, they can raise an alert to say it's away from home, and then raise an alert once it comes back in contact.
So sort of that geofencing style, so it might be quite useful for people with Alzheimer's or people who, go wandering, that sort of thing.
Exactly,
Yeah.
and more reliable in some sense than an actual geofence, because a geofence relies on that GPS positioning, whereas this is just, I've lost Bluetooth contact, raise an alert.
Yeah,
Yeah, so
fantastic.
it could be a lot more reliable.
Okay.
So that's what's coming in 2026.
That's very exciting. Can't wait to see them.
Excellent.
Can't wait to see them out in the market. All right. Well, thank you all for coming and thanks for listening. And if you have any questions, our number is on the screen, or you can direct further inquiries to ndis@tunstall.com, and please check our website, www.tunstallhealthcare.com.au. Thank you and see you all again.
Thanks for having me.